6 months, countless hours of work, trips back and forth from my shop to the site, and I never got paid. This is a cautionary tale on how you can avoid the mistakes that I made and why the things ended up the way they did. Stay tuned, this is a pretty good story. A $10,000 table, yeah, some might call it that. Just in sheer size alone, we're talking over 11 feet long and almost 5 feet wide and 3 inches thick. Now, I do know the prices of everything that was in its raw form. The slab itself, the guy paid $4,500 for. The base, pretty cool, has a crank, has an industrial look to it, really nice, you can articulate the height. That was $1,000. I got that priced, quoted at a local furniture store where I found it. So we're in this thing for $5,500. And it only becomes a $10,000 table from the work that I did. And that's the work I didn't get paid for. Honestly, there was multiple dams built, over 3 gallons of resin poured, countless hours spent, and also a ceramic coat at that when it was all finished. So, yeah, I think it was worth 10 grand. One more thing before we really dive into this, I do want to tell you that I didn't get compensated for 6 months of work, right? You know that, but I'm on a platform where views turn into currency. And the money from this AdSense on this video, if it does well, could essentially compensate me for the work. So before I get any further, if you like this story and you want to really help us out, share this video, watch it to the end. That would be so appreciated. All right, let's go. So here is a bit of backstory and why I even feel comfortable making this video. One, the homeowner / client was never in the video. I never mentioned him by name, nor have I on any social media posts whatsoever. Two, well, this was a friend of mine since the 8th grade. I'm 44 years old at the time of taping this, and I've known the guy for a long time. After high school, I didn't keep in touch very much, but we rekindled a friendship probably about 4 years ago, and we've kept in touch, and then he thought, hey, I might be the perfect person to do this job. So all that being said, here's where I'm at, okay? No ill will towards the homeowner, the client, my friend, okay? We're not really friends anymore, and you'll hear about how that all happened later in the video. But I don't want to bash someone. This is basically a tale of what I did wrong. The lack of documentation, the lack of communication, sort of, there's an asterisk there. But really, this is to help prevent you from making these mistakes, okay? And I'm not gonna call him by name whatsoever, but I do want to refer to him by something. So let's call him Richard. How about that? All right, so let's just dive into this, okay? About 6 months ago, let's just call Richard Dick for short, why not? Just for argument's sake. Dick reached out and said, hey, Chris, I've got a big slab and I want a couple little spots of resin filled, and can you finish the top for me the way we can use it? I explained to him, yeah, I can help you with that. Send me some pictures. Well, he sent me some pictures, and unfortunately the pictures didn't exactly tell the whole story. What I thought he needed was a couple little cups of resin filled in. He wanted them smoky, kind of clear. I thought no problem. I would just tape up underneath, maybe make a small little area that the resin couldn't, come out of. And we would put a nice sanding on the top and do a nice, hard wax oil finish and be done with it. I quoted him at that time $1,500. Now here was the first mistake. One, I quoted him that with the pictures, not seeing it in person. I also made that quote a verbal one. I never did throw it in a text message. I never threw it in an email, nothing. Yeah, that's the first mistake. So you might be able to see where this is going. My first error was never documenting anything because he's a friend, and that was a huge mistake. Anyway, moving forward, I get out to the property. I see that the table actually needs more TLC than what those pictures originally showed. And we had a very brief conversation. I was like, yo, bro, Dick, I thought that you just needed a couple little spots. This is gonna require 2 dams being built. You're gonna have to pour probably 3 gallons or so. It's gonna be more than 1,500. He then just quickly said, all right, bro, whatever you need, no problem. It's for his new house, and a beautiful home on 5 acres here locally. And I thought, this is a really stately table for a really nice home, and I'd be happy to do it. But at least I had that conversation about, hey, look, man, I think I underquoted you with the pictures you sent. Seeing it in person is a different story. Don't talk about money until you, the maker, sees everything and is very confident about what your scope of work is. So anyway, we move forward. I also had to have one more conversation with him about how often I was going to be able to get this done. How often could I travel those 5 miles to do the work? Well, it wasn't going to be a quick job. And he reiterated, hey, bro, I know your situation. You're home working at home now. You're there to take care of your wife and your kids. I get all that. There's a whole thing where I have a very abbreviated work day, especially here at the house. And then when the kids go to bed, sometimes I come back out at night and get work done. But I wasn't going to bother him at night. So my work day was very short. But he understood. I mean, we met in high school and he was one of the nicest guys. And I still consider him a pretty nice guy. But it's unfortunate what happened. And you'll hear about that in a second. But here we are. Okay, so I know I got all the time in the world, so he says, and he's rest assured me that, look, if it costs a little bit more, just let me know. In fact, I thought that was really gracious of him, that I made a quote and he said, don't worry about it, just let me know later on, we'll work something out. Truth be told, there was a time where I needed to go buy a belt sander and a handheld planer. And so he was like, you gotta go buy tools? Let me buy them for you, let me help you out. I'm thinking, this guy, what a stand-up dude, I mean, seriously, Dick, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. I didn't allow him to do that. I bought them under my own money, of course. But, moving forward, this took a long time. As we're getting closer to the finish line, I'm getting feedback from him. Looks good. Hey, man, appreciate it. He does call me every once in a while. Hey, you going to be able to make it this week? But not at all seems bothered by the fact that it's taken me months to get this done, okay? So, here we are at the finish line. And it's now time for me to bring up that conversation we had. And it didn't go so well. So I said, hey, Dick, listen, we are about to finish this thing up. And I remember we talked about it being a bit more. So I'm going to ask for $3,000. He said, what? You serious, bro? I was like, hey, man, we had that conversation before about how the scope of work was going to be a bit more. He conveniently forgot. I was in a position where I didn't have any documentation. I had no text thread. And I looked back through everything. There was no talk of price. I mistakenly put it in writing. And he either mistakenly forgot that conversation or he forgot on purpose. I don't know his intention, okay? Finally, he said, all right, whatever. But then he avoided me. I would text him, nothing. I would call, wouldn't answer. If I texted him about something other than the money, he would respond. If I said, hey, how are you today? He said, I'm good. I'm running downtown, going to get permits done, whatever. I then said, okay, let's settle up on this. I know you're upset about me asking for more. Let's just go back down to $1,500, the original price. Nothing. Ghost. Ho. Let me stop you right there, Chris, before you finish this video. There's something that you guys need to know. During this whole process, I did call, and he did answer one time. Sounded very perturbed. I said, hey, dude, what's going on? You're not talking to me. You're ghosting me. I can't get a response. I put the phone on speaker. I let my wife hear what was going on as she was curious to know. And he said, I don't have time to deal with this right now. I said, you owe me an explanation. What in the hell is going on, dude? He goes, you know what? All right, hold on. Let me shut the door to my office. Here's where I'm at on this. I'm a do what I say what I do kind of guy. And when you claimed you wanted more than the original price of $1,500, it rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, so now I'm just victim here to you forgetting a conversation that actually happened. What do you do at that point? His word against mine, no documentation. He also then proceeded to tell me, or was telling me that, by the way, paying me in this whole project doesn't even move the needle for him right now in order of importance in his life, which was it's a little bit of disrespect for sure. But I'm sure he felt very disrespected by me. I don't blame him, because if you forgot that conversation, then yeah, of course, it looks like I'm just trying to swindle more money. Now, I would never, ever go after someone for that much money legally. One, I don't have a leg to stand on. I'll discuss that further. But I wanted to bring you in here and tell you that little story first, because he then did say, look, I'll put a check in the mail and I'll give you $2,000. I did have that under a verbal contract. My wife heard it, although I didn't record the phone call. You can't record phone calls without the other person knowing, so of course I'm not going to do that. But I did get that in words from him. He said I was going to do $2,000. I'll put the check in the mail. And I heard check in the mail quite a few times after that, and it never showed up. So I will say this: if the check does come and he does see this, guess what? I'll delete the video, or I might. I don't know. Depends on if it moves the needle for me. Anyway, I'll get back to my previous thought. So it was clear his intention was not to pay. I then gave him this ultimatum. I'll put it on screen. This is a text from me. Basically saying that if I don't hear from you, you can pause the video if you want to read it. But if I don't hear from you by the end of the week, I'm just going to assume that this is you not paying me, okay? So at that point, I'm then going to reach out and try to get compensation for this work elsewhere. Now, I have no fight legally for this. I mean, besides, it's only $1,500, and I would never go after someone for $1,500. It's a principle of the thing for me, and quite frankly, in his eyes, it's also the principle in his eyes too. Like, how dare you ask for more than you said? Document everything, right? I know I'm hearkening back to that point. But at that point, I never heard anything. So I'm in a position to make a video and to tell a story about how I don't want this to happen to anyone else. And luckily, on this platform, views are currency. So maybe, just maybe, this video will do well enough where the AdSense would compensate me for the work that I did. I don't know. So if you have friends and family you want to share this with, I would definitely greatly appreciate it, like I mentioned before. And yeah, this was a crazy experience for me. I'm sorry to lose him as a friend. I mean, we can't really be friends at this point, I don't think, due to this misunderstanding. And that sucks, man. That's another maybe cardinal sin that I did. He's a friend of mine, and he said, hey, I got some work for you. I should have just said no, just find somebody else. I kind of wish I had done that now, because he's a really nice guy, and it was nice to get reconnected with him. But, hopefully you guys learned the hard lesson that I did, and how you can avoid, upsetting the dicks of the world. I know that sounds funny, but yeah, that's what I got. So I really appreciate you guys checking this out and listening to the very end. I run this family business here from the shop behind me, and it's been the best thing on the planet. And I can't thank you guys, the honest audience. And right now, believe it or not, I think we're just wrapping up with Christmas. If you want to check out our website, we've got a little sale going on for after Christmas. About if you got Christmas money, I got you covered. I got a little deal going down there for you. So thank you guys. You guys are the true Glimpse Insiders, and I really appreciate your viewership. And again, share this out, and hopefully people learn from this experience, because I know I did. Y'all have a great one, and I hope you have a great year. This is the last part of 2024. I hope you've had a great year, and then I hope you have a great 2025. This is the last video from me this year until January. Y'all have a wonderful day. See you later.